I incarnated 500 years after Sakyamuni during that period as Jesus. 500 years later, I incarnated as Guru Rinpoche. And then 500 years later, I incarnated as Milarepa. And then 500 years later, I incarnated as Jai Tsongkhapa. All these are the most famous people in Tibetan Buddhism. They're reformers, so they actually hold the title of the head of all the lineages of Tibetan Buddhism. And I'm teaching this because I'm a priest. Back to the original priest. What I have to share is not that, I'm some guy who, for some reason I started having dreams or impressions that I'm, reincarnation of some great priest or something. What happened to me at childhood. I had, just like Jesus had, I had holy men come to my parents' house, knock on the door, tell them they're from Tibet, like wise men from the East, and they start freaking my parents out, saying that your son is Jesus, is the reincarnation of Jesus, and not just Jesus, but the authority that Jesus brings. He's the head priest for the earth. I was only 9 years old, and I already knew that because I knew my past life was Jesus. Then they came and they say all this to my parents. They want to take me back to Tibet, which my parents won't allow them to do. And they try and disclaim that it ever happened. Ever. They try and get all my relatives to deny it. Try and get my brother and sister to deny it. They joke about it. Just make me think that I'm crazy. Never happened. So when I turned 30 years old, the Tibetans get a hold of me. And they start giving me all these certificates. This is one of them. This is from Saramay Monastery. This is Saramay Buddhist Monastery in India. And there's the original one is in Tibet. It was built by a student of Jai Tsongkhapa, and I'm the reincarnation of Jai Tsongkhapa. There's a lot of people out there who says I'm the reincarnation of Geronimo, or I'm the reincarnation of Cesar Chavez, or I'm the reincarnation of, whatever, But I'm not that. I'm not doing it like that. These people are coming to me. I'm not going out claiming anything, nothing. I didn't until I was 42 years old. And then I confronted the Tibetans, and this is what happened. They start off by giving me this certificate, and it's from this monastery. And the certificate says, it is stated that an American national, Sanat Maitreya Kumara, hails from Hidden Valley Lake, California, in the United States, and possesses exemplary character and integrity. Known widely as His Holiness Gawa Jampa, he is a theologian of Maitreya Buddhism, and also the well-renowned teacher of soul therapy, with centers known as Buddha Maitreya Soul Therapy Centers and a non-profit organization, the Church of Shambhala Vajradhara Maitreya Sangha, supporting monastic life amongst Buddhist community in both China, Tibet, Nepal, India, England, and the United States. He is sure to impact a true understanding and embodiment of the Buddha nature. He represents the merging of many lineages, being the incarnation of Buddha Maitreya, Guru Rinpoche, Milarepa, and Jai Tsongkhapa. Now, for most of you out there, you know nothing about Buddha Maitreya. You only know about Sakyamuni. And Sakyamuni and Buddha Maitreya were the closest of friends. During the time of Sakyamuni, Buddha Maitreya was his closest disciple, known as the Bodhisattva Maitreya. And according to Sakyamuni, he would be the next coming Buddha, known as Buddha Maitreya. So I got to be well known during the time of Sakyamuni as the person who interpreted everything Sakyamuni said and made sure that it was properly written down. And then 500 years later, I incarnated after the incarnation of Jesus. I incarnated 500 years after Sakyamuni during that period as Jesus. 500 years later, I incarnated as Guru Rinpoche. And then 500 years later, I incarnated as Milarepa. And then 500 years later, I incarnated as Jai Tsongkhapa. All these are the most famous people in Tibetan Buddhism. They're reformers, so they actually hold the title of the head of all the lineages of Tibetan Buddhism. So it says, in conclusion, we find highly realized person Atuku, born in the western part of the world, in whom he has arisen previous learning, having mastered all the knowledge both of inner and outer in previous lives. He now has spontaneous experiences and realization, becoming the very Lord of compassion and all skillful means through the virtue of his holy name, Buddha Maitreya. So that's me, yeah? And that's Jesus, busy, reincarnating, on the wheel of life, here to serve. But my service is at all times a priest and helping humanity. In Lhasa, I have been enthroned in most of the major monasteries. In Dharamsala, where the Dalai Lama lives and presents himself as Dalai Lama, I built the Great Stupa. I built it. It's called the Medicine Buddha Stupa, the Namgyal Stupa. I purchased the land. I bought all the materials to have it built. I brought the monks from my monastery at Drepung. They all lived in that local area. I got a Dharma center and housed all of them, and they built the stupa. You can see a picture of me inside that pyramid. That pyramid is inside the stupa, and it's the energy that is saving all of the people of Tibet. This has inside of it the names of every person who suffered during the Chinese takeover. And that's why I built it, was to take on the full responsibility of Tibet. Leave the Dalai Lama to the side. He is going to just be the last Dalai Lama. He's a mess. So I took over. I built the stupa. The political prisoners, the head of the political prisoners came to me, asked me to do it. I said yes, and we finished it. Here I am at the Jetsun Milarepa Monastery that was founded by Milarepa. This is one of my previous lives. And the guru at that monastery passed over to me the lineage holding process of Milarepa and designated me as the reincarnation of Milarepa. From the most majestic Karma Dagu Zhuoling that is located in the heights of Pokhar, surrounding of Nepal, they send their respect for my manifestation as Jetsun Milarepa and the characteristics and the symbols from my accomplishments connotes that I have taken rebirth to continue prosper the activities of my previous reincarnation that are much intended for the welfare of all sentient beings. As honorable and eminent Rinpoches have recognized him, our monastery would accept him as the true reincarnation of his previous birth. And it is thus written as the recommendation and also to forward our warm wishes. So this is the office of Tibetan Buddhism, the government. Not the Dalai Lama, but the government. And this group of people, are my students. So they asked me if I would do a world peace tour. And I agreed to do it. So I brought the Lumbum monks, same monks who built the stupa. I flew them all the way to England in order to exercise the demonic qualities that are found in England. There are my monks. We were doing a sand painting, and the ceremony went all around, all of Glastonbury. We went on to London and many other places, and Chalice Well and all. You could see a picture of one of my nuns giving a vajra to the now king, and that was a major process for both England and Tibetan Buddhism to help bring about a healing in the process of the nations. That's very big, not a little thing. It's a very, very, very big thing. That process leads to the healing of what is going on. Here I am a priest. Well, there's a lot of people who claim to be priests. Yeah. And there's a lot of people who think that the presidency, it has something to do with being a king or being an emperor or being something like that. But in reality, it's a priesthood. It's a priesthood. The original first president was Adam. Yeah, he carried the constitutional wherewithal of virtue, laws, implied those laws into humanity, creating the kingdom of humanity. And in doing so, he created laws that can't and should not be broken. Yeah, so from the time of Adam on through, judgment came strong, all the way to Noah and the flood, Cain and his killing his brother, Cain and the Canaanites, and the process of Babel and Babylon, the fall of the human race, the creation of emperors and kings, delusionists and false priests, all comes from this.